Welcome to today's episode, where we're diving into one of the most misunderstood concepts in startup culture. You've probably heard it a million times. Do things that don't scale. Paul Graham said it, and now it's practically startup gospel. But what does he really mean? And maybe even more important, what doesn't he mean? Spoiler alert, it's not an excuse to burn out hustling 24/7 or do pointless busy work. So grab your coffee, tea, or whatever gets you going, because we're about to demystify this mantra, one unscalable thing at a time. Let's start with what Graham actually meant. When he says, do things that don't scale, he's talking about getting close to your customers, closer than might feel comfortable. It's about doing the gritty, unglamorous work to build something people genuinely want. Think back to Airbnb's early days. The founders didn't just sit back and tweak their website. They went door to door, taking professional photos of people's apartments to make the listings more appealing. Yeah, totally unscalable. But it worked. Those personal connections gave them insights they would have never found sitting behind a desk. It's not just about working hard, it's about learning fast. You're doing things that won't last forever because they teach you what scales later. And let's face it, there's something kind of magical about those early scrappy moments, isn't there? You're up close and personal with your idea, your customers, your vision. It's raw, it's real, and sometimes it's downright messy. But that's where the gold is. Now let's flip this around. What doesn't Graham mean? He's not telling you to build a business model that relies on unscalable actions forever. It's not about running on a hamster wheel of doing everything manually for eternity. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine someone building an e-commerce site where every order gets hand-delivered by the founder in a bow tie. Cute, right? But not scalable, and not what Graham is talking about. The key difference is intentionality. You're not doing unscalable things for the sake of it. You're doing them as a way to experiment, learn, and set yourself up for scalable growth. It's a stepping stone, not a permanent gig. Why is this advice still so relevant today? I mean, we live in a world of automation, AI, and efficiency hacks, right? It's tempting to skip the hard manual stuff. But here's the thing. Unscalable work builds connection. It builds insight. And guess what? Those are the things algorithms can't replace. Not yet, anyway. Here's the secret. It forces you to care. Not in some abstract, we care about our customers slogan on a poster kind of way, but in a real way. It's about showing up, getting in the trenches, and understanding exactly what your audience needs. When you take the time to meet your customers where they are, literally or figuratively, you're not just building a product, you're building trust. And trust is the currency that keeps startups alive. Take Stripe, for example. In the early days, the Collison brothers would personally help developers integrate their API. They didn't just hand over the keys and say, good luck. No, they sat with customers, walked them through the setup, and solved problems in real time. Sure, that couldn't scale forever, but it gave them invaluable insight into how to improve the product. Okay, so now you're probably thinking, all right, this makes sense, but how do I know when to stop doing things that don't scale? Great question. The answer? When you've learned what you need to scale well. There's a fine line between scrappy and stuck. The trick is to keep your eyes on the bigger picture. Use those unscalable moments to gather data, build relationships, and refine your product. Then step back and ask yourself, how can I make this sustainable? And don't worry, letting go of the unscalable doesn't mean losing your soul. You can automate and still keep that personal touch. It's about being thoughtful, not robotic. That's a wrap on Do Things That Don't Scale. Hopefully, we've cleared up some of the mystery around Paul Graham's famous advice, and maybe even inspired you to embrace a little unscalability in your own projects. So, whether you're booking flights for your first customers, personally onboarding your users, or hand-delivering products, remember, those moments aren't just work, they're your startup secret weapon. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to check out the article it's based on at frederick.today/blog, what Paul Graham really meant by do things that don't scale. And hey, while you're there, you might find a few more gems worth exploring. Until next time, stay curious, stay scrappy, and keep building something amazing. See you soon.